Hi, I'm Venus O'Hara and welcome to another video. This is the first video I'm recording in 2021, so exciting! Thank you for being here. If you were watching last month, you'll know that I tried to do Vlogmas. I did 23 days, and then on the 24th I was all set up to make another video that day, but then my Christmas dinner was being prepared, and well, Christmas Eve dinner, which is the big day here in Spain, and I got sidetracked and I just thought, oh yeah, let's just start the holiday right now. There's a real pity after, making daily videos that I kind of gave up at the last hurdle, but never mind. I'm back now, and I really needed to have a big long break, because I think making daily videos was such a big creative effort. So now I'm back with my batteries recharged and full of hope for this year. I'm really hoping that things are slowly going to get back to normal throughout the whole world. Yes, that's my hope for this year, and I'm sure yours is very similar. So I'm going to start off and I want to thank you all for the ones who've written to me over these last couple of weeks. Even though I've been disconnected, I've felt very connected with my audience and very encouraged to get back on the plan and make some more content for you. And also I want to thank people who actually complained about my audio, and those people who actually encouraged me to make more, who actually said nice things about my voice and I should make more audio content. So I was actually inspired to buy a microphone, and I'm kind of a bit lost at the moment. So if anyone is watching this and wants to give me some audio feedback, I would really appreciate it. Anyway, let's start with some questions. This is my first Q&A of the year. Let's see. Okay, so this first question comes from a woman who's just started having sex, and she says, she's referring to penetration, that her body feels tight and her skin is very sensitive and fragile. Sometimes it slightly tears apart just by being penetrated. Also, some positions make it impossible because it's too painful. And it's very frustrating. She wants to know if I've got any solutions for her. Well, thank you so much for your question. Well, I went through something very similar actually when I first started having sex. I was so in love and so kind of blown away by this new hobby of mine. I was having lots of sex, and to the point where it was painful afterwards, and that kind of expression of walking like John Wayne, I totally understood that. I was having sex maybe 5 times a day sometimes. It was absolutely crazy. And but I actually grew up in the UK, and fortunately there were lots of family planning clinics that I could go to with no appointment, just turn up, and I could see a health professional straight away. And during that time of my life, I was so curious, and I had no shame about going to see any health professionals that could help me out when I was having any questions or doubts. And that's something that I'd recommend to anyone who's having discomfort during sex, is actually you must go and see a health professional. It's really impossible to actually help you online, you must really see someone to check that everything's okay. But in my situation, I felt that in my vagina, like the part that was kind of near the perineum was very sensitive after sex. And the gynecologist I went to see concluded that maybe my lubrication was not reaching that part, even though I had no trouble lubricating normally, but 5 times is a bit excessive. So with all that friction and the lubrication is kind of like wearing down, or kind of not always abundant, then that part of the vagina was so sensitive. Oh my god, it was so sensitive. And yeah, so the conclusion was to actually lubricate more, or have sex less, or get some lubricant. But whatever experience you're having with or pain that you're experiencing, I think the best thing you should do is go and see a health professional. I know sometimes for people it's not as easy as it was for me in the UK, just turning up at a family planning clinic and then just seeing someone straight away. It's not always so easy for people, but depending on where you live, of course. But I would strongly suggest going to see an OBGYN, a gynecologist, and before you go, make a list of questions that you want to ask. And some doctors would be open to you actually recording an audio during the appointment so that you don't forget any valuable information. So that's my advice to you and to anyone who's going through anything similar, because remember, I'm not a health professional, and Dr. Google is probably not the best doctor. You must see a real doctor. Okay, hope this helps. Next, and also don't be ashamed, because I mean, these people are seeing this type of thing every day. It's very normal for them, and they're probably good. They're very good normally at putting you at ease. Okay, next question. This is from a guy who is married, and his wife loves receiving oral sex. It's the only way she orgasms, so I go down every time. Oh wow, what a great guy. However, it's not reciprocal. He says that she only does it twice a year for 7 seconds. Oh my god. He doesn't know how to approach the subject with her because it's quite sensitive, and he doesn't want her to take it like an insult. Or thinking that she's not good at it. And he says that he's quite unhappy sexually, and he tries to initiate new ideas, but they end up in the same routine every time. Missionary, her on top, I go down, and then finishes with a hand. Okay, so well, I think a lot of couples, after they've been together for a while, they do fall into a routine, and sometimes that's because the routine works and there's not any kind of initiative to change it. But I think it's really important to change routines and to eliminate certain acts and add others. And I think maybe I think it's very difficult, especially if the other person is not open to trying new things, and it's like, what do you do? I think flattery is quite a good thing to do as well, like saying that you really like how she does it, or you'd like it if she did it a bit more. But I think it's a very delicate subject, because you shouldn't ever give oral sex if you feel that you're any kind of obligation or pressure, and that can be very not cool. Not cool at all, actually. I had a boyfriend who was actually who loved my blowjobs, and he never actually went down on me that often. I should have been a bit more demanding, but and the bad thing was that he actually lived in London and I was in Paris, and we used to see each other maybe twice a month or once a month, and if there was no blowjob in the weekend we saw each other, there was like, he was sulking. You know, I was quite flattered, of course. That means but then when I said, well, you don't go down on me, he told me that the actual sex, the penetration, was for me, and I thought, that's a bit weird. But going back, I think I was too ashamed at the time to actually make any kind of demands. But I wouldn't stand for that now, of course. I think I think the best thing to do is maybe talk about it, but express how much you like it, and maybe suggest another type of encounter that's not has nothing to do with penetration. It could be more about mutual massage and caresses, and really getting to know all different parts of your body. I think that's a really great thing to do sometimes, because who doesn't love a massage? And I think I just think getting some massage oil and candles and having a really kind of romantic, sensual setup where you're just concentrating on massage only, and erogenous zones, and mutual stimulation as well. That could be a way to kind of not end up having sex all the time. So I think when sex is defined by penetration, I just think it becomes very, very, very boring and routine-like, especially when it's kiss, caress, undress, oral sex, optional, penetration, the end. And I think what you're describing is similar to that, but your end is the kind of hand job you said here. So I think expressing how much you like it would be a great thing. Or can we do something different? Or just try and introduce small, new, different things. Maybe if that's easier. And you said that you were worried that she might find it insulting, or that if you talk about it. But I think you should really use compliments and how you love how she does it, but you would like it a bit more often. That could be a great way. But I think definitely just try and maybe introduce small new things in your lovemaking sessions. A bit more of a massage maybe, or and then see what happens. If anyone else has got any alternative tips, then please let us know. I know it's very difficult. I've been in situations like this myself, and you just kind of revert back to what you've been doing all the time, most of the time, unless you really make a big effort. So I know it's hard, but you must try, definitely. And also, if you're feeling kind of rejected and hurt, why not say it? I think sometimes vulnerability can be very sexy. I think so anyway. And I think whenever someone in my past has opened up to me and told me how bad I've made them feel for whatever reason that I wasn't aware of, I just found that has created a whole new level of intimacy. So I would strongly recommend explaining how you feel and how you don't feel maybe desirable in that way, etc. So hopefully that will help. And if anyone else has got any alternative tips, it would be great to hear them or read them in the comments below. Okay, and then we're going to go next question. This is from a girl who is 21 and she has not had an orgasm. So she wants to have an orgasm and she wants to learn to squirt, and she wants to know if I've got any recommendations or toy recommendations that can help with that, or tips and tricks. Well, I think the squirting obsession might be porn related, because I think one thing, orgasm is already kind of like a very big goal to have, and many women don't reach that for many years. So I think that's the first objective, at least. But squirting, that's way beyond orgasm in my experience. I think a lot of women, that from what I've seen or read about squirting, is that it can happen to some women a lot later in life, and it kind of happens it can take you back. It's kind of like a surprise incident. You're kind of like, oh my God. Some women can provoke it, of course, but it's not something that is as easy to attain than orgasm. I think orgasm should be your first objective, and then squirting is something that maybe you could go for further down the line when you're more familiar with your sexual response. But if you watch any of my videos, you'll know that I recommend actually focusing on pleasure whenever you're with yourself or with a partner, and just forget orgasms, forget squirting, and just think pleasure. It doesn't have to be all on your genitals either. You can feel pleasure on your head, on the back of your neck, on your breasts, on your back, on your buttocks, on your legs, on your feet, all over your body. I think that really should be your first objective in any encounter. And in terms of toys, I recently tried the Satisfyer Pro 2 again, which is the world's top-selling sex toy. I hadn't actually used it for 2 years, but I was actually thinking, oh my God, I understand why this is selling so much. And that's something that I would really recommend for some first-time experimentation. And it's very, very, very affordable as well, especially if you buy it on the Satisfyer website or on Amazon. So I think that's something that you could start with. Also, I've actually made lots of videos about having your first orgasm, and I've actually got a playlist called Raising Orgasmic Awareness. So I'll leave a link to that playlist below, because that has lots of different tips in it. And I'm basically repeating the same idea, which is to just concentrate on pleasure, and also when you're in the moment, and then and maybe practice for a few minutes at a time, and if it's not happened after 15 minutes, kind of stop and then do it another day, almost like homework. I think because otherwise, if you're thinking orgasm, you're like, then you're going to feel a bit more frustrated by the fact that it's not happening. So I think that's the best thing to do. And also, in parallel, you could actually do some erotic homework, such as watch films, read books, watch series, etc., and try and kind of get to know your erotic imagination, and get to know things that turn your brain on, because after all, this is our biggest sexual organ here. And then hopefully those ideas or fantasies will fuel your solo sex sessions and help you along with in your mind while you're using a sex toy. So that's something I would recommend. And then squirting, just think about that I wouldn't even, I can't even tell you how to squirt. It's only happened to me once in my life. And sometimes squirting can happen or can be a result of G-spot stimulation, which is inside the vagina, on the front wall of the vagina. But when it happened to me, it was actually a result of clitoral stimulation. So you never really know why or how. And a lot of women I've spoken to, it has been something that's kind of like, oh, whoa, takes them by surprise from time to time. And it's not something that they can kind of do on demand. I do know women who can do it on demand, but it's not so common. I think the porn thing has kind of really popularized it. But what you see in porn is not the same as the squirting you would experience if you actually experienced it, because that's just it's not like that. Okay, so let's see what the last question is. I have a question about Satisfyer. I watched your video and I wonder which one is the most quiet between Satisfyer Pro 2 with 2 motors, which you mean the Satisfyer Pro 2 vibration, and Satisfyer High Fashion in aluminium. Well, I think they're both very similar because both of them have the air pulse motor and they have vibration as well. And you've got to remember that these toys that have 2 motors obviously are going to make more noise than a toy that only has 1 motor. So I think they're very similar, to be honest. But I would just go for the Satisfyer Pro 2 vibration, because the Satisfyer High Fashion is a lot more expensive. I'm not sure, in my humble opinion, if it's a lot better. I really think that the Satisfyer Pro 2 is much better than the High Fashion, and also it's much quieter if you use it with the air pulse on its own. And then if you're in a situation where the noise isn't important, you can use it with the vibration as well. Anyway, I hope this helps, and if anyone else has any alternative tips or anything to add, please don't hesitate to leave a comment in the comment section below. And if you have any questions about sex toys or orgasms or anything else I talk about here, then don't hesitate to contact me at venusohara.org or on Instagram at venusohara. Thanks for watching. Mwah.